Every day we face problems. Some are small, an unexpected bill, a delayed train, a coworker's careless remark. Some a bigger relationship breaking apart, a project falling apart, or the sudden news that changes everything. Most of the time, these problems don't come one at a time. They pile up. They arrive when you're already tired, already stressed, already stretched thin. And in those moments, it's easy to react, to snap, to panic, to say something you'll regret. But every now and then you meet someone different, someone who seems untouched. They still have problems, sometimes bigger than yours, but they handle them differently. Their voice stays steady, their mind stays clear, their actions are deliberate, not desperate. That's the power of calmness. It's not the absence of problems, it's the presence of control. The control to choose your response, to protect your energy, and to influence the outcome without letting chaos dictate your next move. In this video, we'll explore 12 powerful truths about calmness, why it's a form of strength, how it amplifies your influence, and how you can build it into a daily habit, no matter what life throws your way. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What's one recent moment where staying calm made all the difference, or where losing your calm made things worse? Share it in the comments below. And if you want more videos on building the inner skills that make you stronger every day, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. If calmness is the house you want to live in, self-discipline is the ground it stands on. Without that ground, everything else collapses when the wind picks up. Think about the moments you've lost your calm. Maybe it was after a long day when someone cut you off in traffic, or when a colleague dismissed your idea without listening, or when a small inconvenience, spilling coffee on your shirt, suddenly felt like the last straw. These aren't just bad moments. They're signs of how easily we can be pulled away from the person we want to be. Self-discipline is the quiet habit of building a gap between stimulus and response. It's not about being perfect or emotionless. It's about having the ability to pause, to keep your hands steady when you want to slam them on the table, to keep your voice level when you want to shout, to stay rooted when your mind wants to run. That gap doesn't appear by accident. It's trained. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone when you should be working, you train it. Every time you finish a task before taking a break, you train it. Every time you go to bed, instead of watching just one more episode, you train it. People often imagine self-discipline as something harsh, even joyless, a rigid schedule, no spontaneity, no fun. But in reality, discipline isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the foundation of it. Because without discipline, you're not free. You're a slave to your impulses, to the emotions of the moment, to every distraction the world throws at you. It's no coincidence that people with strong self-discipline are often calmer in high-pressure situations. They've rehearsed control in small everyday choices, so when the big tests come, they already have the muscle memory to act with intention instead of impulse. Consider a firefighter in an emergency. The flames are real. The danger is real. The panic is real. But this isn't their first time choosing action over reaction. Long before the fire, they've trained for the exact moment when others freeze. They've built the discipline to follow the plan, even when their heart is pounding. That same principle applies in our daily lives. If we want to keep our calm when everything's on fire, we have to train in the quiet moments when nothing is. Self-discipline also shapes how we prepare for challenges. A calm mind doesn't just appear in the middle of chaos, it's cultivated in advance. Athletes visualize their moves before the game. Musicians practice until their fingers know the notes better than their brain does. Writers sit down to work even when inspiration is absent. This discipline creates a kind of inner stability. So when the unexpected happens, you don't have to build your calm from scratch. You just step into it. And there's another benefit discipline makes you trustworthy. People can see when you consistently follow through on what you say. They know you won't panic and abandon the plan. In moments of uncertainty, they'll look to you not because you're the loudest voice in the room, but because you're the one they believe will hold steady. The truth is, you can't fake self-discipline for long. It shows in your habits, in your posture, in the way you handle yourself under pressure. And it's not something you get once and keep forever, it's a living practice. Skip it for too long, and you'll feel your patience shorten, your temper quicken, your calmness weaken. But feed it daily, and you'll find yourself handling stress with an ease that surprises even you. So if you want calmness to be more than just a temporary mood, start here. Start with the small, unglamorous acts: waking up when you said you would, finishing what you started, choosing what's right over what's easy. Discipline in the small things builds the ground you can stand on when the big storms come. Because when your foundation is strong, you don't just survive the storm, you stand in it calm, unshaken, and ready for whatever comes next. The Stoics saw self-discipline as the root of all other virtues. Epictetus taught that we cannot control the world, but we can control our choices, and that control is built through practice. To a Stoic, discipline isn't about denying pleasure, it's about mastering desire so that it doesn't master you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Self-discipline is that power in action. It's the training that allows you to stay calm when provoked, to stay steady when tempted, and to stay focused when distracted. Without it, calmness will always be fragile. With it, calmness becomes unshakable, a fortress you can carry anywhere. If self-discipline is the foundation of calmness, right thinking is the compass. Without it, you can stand your ground all day and still face the wrong direction. Right thinking doesn't mean positive thinking in the sugar-coated sense. It means seeing reality as it is, no better, no worse, than deciding on the best possible course of action. It's the ability to strip away illusions, panic, and ego so that you can respond with clarity. The truth is, most people don't think in moments of pressure, they react. They let fear, pride, or anger grab the steering wheel. And once emotion is in the driver's seat, reason gets pushed to the back. That's why right thinking is a competitive advantage. It allows you to operate on facts and principles, not just feelings. Think about the difference between a chess master and a casual player. The casual player sees one move ahead, often reacting to whatever just happened. The master sees the board as a whole. They understand patterns, probabilities, and how each decision will play out over time. That's what right thinking does for life. It lifts your eyes from the immediate moment to the larger picture. But here's the challenge: in high-stress moments, the mind loves to create false narratives. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your brain tells you they're disrespecting you. A colleague disagrees in a meeting, and your brain whispers they're undermining you. These interpretations may feel real, but they're not the truth. They're just stories fueled by emotion. Right thinking asks, is this the full story? Maybe the driver didn't see you. Maybe your colleague is actually improving your idea. When you ask these questions, you create mental space that keeps your calm intact. Let's make this practical. Imagine Sarah, a project manager, facing a critical product launch. 2 weeks before the deadline, a major supplier fails to deliver. Her team is panicked, suggesting they worked around the clock to compensate. Sarah listens, then asks a simple question: what's the actual priority here? They realize that only one feature must be ready for launch. The rest can be rolled out later. By narrowing the scope, they meet the deadline without burnout. Sarah's advantage wasn't working harder, It was thinking better. Right thinking thrives on 3 habits. The first thought is often emotional, not accurate. Pause before acting on it. Ask, what am I trying to achieve? This prevents you from wasting effort on the wrong target. Facts are what happened. Stories are the meaning you assign to them. Recognize the difference. These habits don't just help you make better decisions, they protect your calm. When you think clearly, you don't have to overreact because you understand what matters and what doesn't. Another way to look at right thinking is as a filter. Life pours in raw data, news headlines, other people's moods, sudden setbacks. If your filter is clogged with biosphere or wishful thinking, your responses will be distorted. But a clean filter built through reflection, learning, and humility allows you to see things as they are. This is where preparation meets perspective. Reading broadly, learning from mistakes, and reflecting on past experiences all strengthen your mental filter. Over time, you'll notice patterns others miss. You'll anticipate problems before they appear, and when they do, you'll already have a framework for dealing with them. The irony is, right thinking is often invisible to others. They see your calm, but they don't see the constant mental work happening underneath. They might call you lucky for always making the right call, but luck isn't the reason, it's mental discipline applied over and over. Of course, right thinking doesn't guarantee that you'll always be correct, but it does guarantee that your decisions will be intentional, not accidental. And in a noisy, chaotic world, that alone sets you apart. The great advantage of right thinking is that it compounds. The more you practice it, the more confident you become. And that confidence reinforces your calm because you know you've trained your mind to see clearly even when everything else is clouded. If self-discipline steadies your hand, right thinking directs it toward the right target. Together, they make calmness not just a mood, but a deliberate choice. The Stoics placed reason above all else. To them, right thinking was not optional, it was the very definition of a virtuous life. Epictetus taught, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This is the essence of right thinking. Our interpretations, not the events themselves, determine our peace. Marcus Aurelius often wrote in his meditations to strip away assumptions and focus on the bare facts, asking himself, what is this thing in itself? By doing so, he freed his mind from unnecessary suffering. In the Stoic view, calmness is not passive. It's the active result of thinking rightly about what's within our control and letting go of everything else. Power is often mistaken for volume. We think the loudest voice in the room has the most influence. The one who speaks the most must be the leader. But true power rarely announces itself so loudly. Calmness is the kind of power you don't see until you feel it. It's the unshakable presence that steadies a room. It's the quiet confidence that makes people lean in to listen. When chaos rises, everyone is drawn sometimes without realizing to the person who isn't panicking. Why? Because calmness signals control. In a crisis, we instinctively trust those who appear composed, whether they're a pilot navigating turbulence, a doctor explaining test results, or a friend offering comfort after bad news. Calmness says, I am not overwhelmed. I am not afraid. I am thinking clearly. And that is power. This kind of power isn't about domination, it's about direction. When you're calm, you influence the emotional temperature of those around you. If you stay steady, they steady themselves. That influence can save a team from collapse, a relationship from unnecessary damage, or even a life in moments of danger. Consider the story of Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger. When his plane lost both engines shortly after takeoff in 2009, he didn't freeze or scream. He calmly communicated with air traffic control, assessed his limited options, and landed the aircraft on the Hudson River, saving all 155 people on board. Witnesses described his voice as completely calm, even in those seconds between life and death. That calmness wasn't just temperament, it was training discipline and the ability to think clearly under unimaginable pressure. And it gave him the power to direct everyone else towards survival. The opposite is also true. Losing your calmness hands power to the situation or to someone else. The moment you lash out, panic, or freeze, you're no longer in control of the narrative. You've surrendered the ability to lead it. This is why calmness is not simply nice to have. It's a strategic asset in any area of life, from boardrooms to battlefields to dinner tables. Another reason calmness is power. It extends your decision-making window. In high-pressure moments, time feels compressed. People rush into choices just to relieve the discomfort of uncertainty. But calmness slows time in your mind. It gives you space to evaluate, to weigh options, to ask better questions before acting. That extra beat can mean the difference between success and disaster. And here's the surprising part. Calmness is contagious. Emotions spread through groups like invisible currents. In the same way, panic can ripple through a crowd. Calmness can anchor it. When you maintain composure, you give others permission to do the same. This is why leaders, formal or informal, must guard their calmness fiercely. If you lose it, you give everyone else an excuse to lose theirs. Some people think calmness is passive, a lack of action. But that's not true. Calmness is an active stance. It's choosing not to be baited into impulsive moves. It's keeping your voice steady while making the hard call. It's letting silence do the work when others expect an outburst. Calmness is not the absence of energy, it's the concentration of it. Building this kind of calm power starts with small choices. You practice it in minor frustrations, traffic jams, delays, rude comments, so it's ready for major crises. It's built in the pause before replying to a provocative message, in the deep breath before entering a difficult conversation, in the refusal to match someone else's anger with your own. The more you do this, the more people will notice, not because you're trying to show off, but because it's rare. In a world addicted to reaction, a person who responds deliberately is magnetic. You'll find that people start turning to you, even if you're not in charge, simply because they trust your steadiness. That's when you realize calmness isn't just a mood, it's influence. And influence used well is power. So the next time you're tempted to win an argument by raising your voice, or to prove your authority by pushing harder, remember lasting power comes from composure. When the noise rises, lower yours. When the pressure builds, slow down. The one who keeps their center will outlast the one who loses it. Because in the end, the most powerful person in the room is not the one who controls others, it's the one who controls themselves. The Stoics understood that calmness was not a luxury, but a necessity for wise action. Marcus Aurelius, as Emperor of Rome, faced rebellions, plagues, and political betrayal. Yet his writings reveal a man committed to composure. He wrote, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." To the Stoics, calmness was a form of self-governance, the highest form of power. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control events, we can control our responses. In mastering that, we master ourselves. And when we master ourselves, we become the steady center others can rely on, no matter how fierce the storm. Calmness isn't just useful in certain moments, it's essential in all of them. Because life doesn't schedule its tests. You don't get advance notice before the meeting turns hostile, before the phone call delivers bad news, before someone says something that pierces you unexpectedly. These moments arrive without warning, and how you meet them determines not just the outcome but the person you become. To stay calm in one situation but not another is like wearing armor only on Tuesdays. Sooner or later, you'll face the very moment you're unprotected. And that's when you'll wish calmness was not a mood, but a habit. The first reason we must be calm in all things is clarity. Stress and strong emotion narrow your vision. You focus on what's loudest, not what's most important. Calmness widens the frame. It allows you to see connections, patterns, and options you'd otherwise miss. In an argument, it lets you hear the meaning beneath the words. In a crisis, it helps you identify the one action that actually matters. Without calmness, you waste energy on the wrong problems. The second reason is decision quality. Think about the last time you made a choice in anger or fear. Did it age well? Probably not. That's because those states push us towards short-term relief rather than long-term success. Calmness, on the other hand, keeps you tethered to your principles instead of your impulses. It gives you a buffer between what you feel and what you do, and that buffer often saves you from regret. The third reason is relationships. Calmness is a gift you give to others. When you keep your composure, you make it easier for them to keep theirs. You turn arguments into conversations. You prevent misunderstandings from becoming lasting resentments. You become someone people want to approach, even with bad news, because they know you won't explode. The fourth is health. Living in a state of constant agitation is corrosive. It wears down your nervous system, floods your body with stress hormones, and clouds your sleep. Calmness isn't just a mental advantage, it's a physical safeguard. When you remain calm, you allow your body to recover instead of burning itself out in a constant state of alarm. But here's the real reason: calmness must be constant. Life is unpredictable. You don't get to choose when you'll need it most. The difficult customer might walk in at the end of an already exhausting day. The family emergency might happen during the busiest week of your year. And when those moments hit, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. If calmness is something you turn on and off, it will fail you when you need it most. But if it's something you live, it will be there without effort, automatic, like muscle memory. Consider a surgeon in the middle of a complex operation. Every movement matters. Every second counts. If the surgeon's calmness is conditional, only present on good days, lives will be lost. The same is true in less dramatic but equally important moments in our own lives. If you only practice calmness when it's easy, it won't be strong enough when it's hard. Practicing calmness in all things doesn't mean pretending you're never upset or never passionate. It means feeling the emotions without letting them hijack your actions. It's letting anger tell you something's wrong without letting it dictate what you do next. It's allowing fear to alert you to danger without allowing it to paralyze you. You can train this by using small, everyday moments as your practice field. The traffic jam, the delayed flight, the long line at the store. These are not inconveniences to endure. They are opportunities to strengthen your calmness so it's ready for bigger tests. The people who seem naturally calm aren't immune to life's difficulties. They've just made calmness their default setting. They've practiced it so often that it follows them into every room, every conversation, every challenge. And when you're calm in all things, you start to notice something: you influence life more than it influences you. Problems still come, but they don't own you. Chaos still knocks, but it doesn't get in. You carry your own weather no matter the forecast. That's why calmness isn't just for the big moments. It's for every moment. Because the way you handle the small moments is exactly how you'll handle the big ones. The Stoics believed in practicing virtue not just in crisis, but in every circumstance. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Don't wish to seem knowledgeable. And if you wish to keep your will in accord with nature, let no day pass without this practice." To them, calmness was a constant discipline, not an occasional state. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to meet both trouble and ease with the same steady mind, for both were part of nature's flow. By training ourselves to be calm in all things big or small, we live as the Stoics did, unshaken by fortune, steady in principle, and free from the tyranny of circumstance. When calmness slips, the price isn't always immediate, but it's always real. We notice the obvious costs, the argument that escalated too far, the email sent too soon, the deal that fell apart because tempers flared. But the deeper costs are quieter. They hide beneath the surface, accumulating over time, shaping the way we think, feel, and live. Every time you lose your calm, your body fires off stress signals, heart racing, muscles tightening, adrenaline flooding your system. In short bursts, that's survivable. But when it happens often, your brain learns to expect it. You start living in a state of constant readiness for a threat that may not even be there. This is exhausting, and it slowly erodes your ability to return to a baseline of peace. In the moment of losing calm, the emotional brain takes control, and the rational brain takes a back seat. You magnify threats, underestimate your options, and often misread other people's intentions. Over time, this can turn into a default mindset, assuming the worst, looking for offense, and bracing for conflict even when none exists. You're no longer responding to reality. You're responding to a mental version of it colored by past flare-ups. Calmness is a form of self-governance. Without it, you become reactive to every external push or pull. Someone says something sharp, and you snap back without thinking. A delay happens, and you explode into frustration. These reactions may feel justified in the moment, but they leave you with regret and a sense that you're not fully in charge of yourself. That erosion of self-trust can be one of the most damaging effects of all. Frequent loss of calm makes others walk on eggshells around you. They avoid sharing honest feedback or bad news. This creates distance, mistrust, and a lack of open communication. Even when you're not upset, the memory of past outbursts lingers, and people adjust their behavior in ways that can isolate you. In professional settings, losing calm even occasionally can brand you as unreliable under pressure. In personal life, it can overshadow your better qualities. People tend to remember intense emotional reactions more than calm, measured responses. And once they expect volatility, it's hard to convince them otherwise. Over time, these costs compound. They don't just affect how others see you, they affect how you see yourself. If you believe you just can't help it, you begin to feel powerless in your own life. That feeling of helplessness is dangerous. It breeds resentment, cynicism, and sometimes shame. You start to avoid situations where calmness might be tested, limiting your growth and opportunities. The tragic part is that losing calmness often feels good in the moment. The burst of anger, the sharp retort, the raised voice, they give a temporary sense of release. But that relief is deceptive. It's like scratching an itch that only makes the rash worse. The more you indulge the impulse, the stronger it becomes, and the harder it is to choose differently next time. Start by noticing what losing calm actually costs you physically, mentally, emotionally. Keep a simple log: what happened, how you reacted, and what the outcome was. Over time, you'll see patterns. Maybe it's certain people, certain times of day, or certain types of stress that trigger you. Knowing these patterns gives you the chance to prepare to pause and to choose a different path. Recovering from the loss of calm is possible, but it requires honest reflection. You have to admit the moments you mishandled, not to shame yourself, but to learn from them. Each time you catch yourself before the spiral, you rebuild trust with yourself. And that trust is the foundation for lasting calm. The question isn't whether you'll ever lose your calm again, you will. The question is whether you'll treat those moments as failures or as feedback. One approach erodes you, the other strengthens you. The more you understand the cost of losing calmness, the more motivated you'll be to guard it, because the price is always higher than it seems, and the investment in keeping it is always worth it. The Stoics saw the loss of calmness as a form of self-betrayal. Epictetus warned that every time we let anger or fear take over, we hand our freedom to something outside ourselves. If anyone can provoke you, he said, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that other people's actions are beyond his control, but his own mind is not. To a Stoic, the cost of losing calmness wasn't just in damaged relationships or poor decisions. It was in the forfeiture of sovereignty over the self. Guarding calmness then was more than a strategy, it was a moral duty. To keep your calm is to keep your freedom, and to keep your freedom is to keep your power. We tend to think of success as the result of constant motion networking, hustling, acting fast, making deals, staying ahead. The modern world rewards speed, and slowing down can feel like falling behind. But some of the most successful people in history had a secret that ran counter to the rush. They valued stillness. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating an inner environment where your mind is not thrashing around, where your attention isn't scattered in a dozen directions. It's the state that allows you to think clearly, act decisively, and sustain your energy over the long haul. James Allen wrote, "The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater is his success, his influence, his power for good." He understood that stillness magnifies effectiveness. When you are still inside, you stop wasting mental energy on imaginary battles and needless anxieties. That energy is freed to focus on what actually moves you forward. Imagine two archers aiming at a target. One is rushing, breathing heavily, constantly shifting their stance. The other is still breathing, slowly, steady grip, steady gaze. Who will hit the mark? The answer is obvious, but in life we often behave like the restless archer. We fire off decisions, jump into conversations, commit to projects, all while our mind is rattled by noise. Then we wonder why our arrows keep missing. Stillness gives you the accuracy that speed alone never will. It allows you to see opportunities others miss because they're too busy chasing the wrong ones. It helps you recognize which moves are worth making and which distractions you can let pass. That's why many great leaders build stillness into their routines: morning reflection, quiet walks, time away from constant communication. These aren't luxuries, they're part of the work. Take Warren Buffett, known as one of the most successful investors in history. He spends most of his day reading and thinking, not frantically trading stocks. He once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." That clarity comes from stillness, from creating space to think rather than reacting to every stimulus. Stillness also affects how others perceive you. In negotiations, for example, silence can be more powerful than words. When you don't rush to fill the air, you give the other person space to reveal more than they intended. Your calm presence signals that you're not desperate, which shifts the balance of power in your favor. But stillness isn't just about strategy, it's about sustainability. Success built on constant adrenaline is fragile. You might sprint for a while, but you can't sprint forever. Without stillness, burnout is inevitable. Your body will force you to stop often in ways you didn't choose. Choosing stillness proactively is how you avoid that crash. This doesn't mean withdrawing from life or avoiding challenges. It means moving through challenges without letting them shake your center. You can be in the middle of a high-stakes project, a heated debate, or a personal crisis, and still hold a still mind. That stillness becomes your anchor, keeping you from being dragged under by the currents around you. The tricky part is that stillness requires deliberate practice. It's easy to fill every spare moment with noise, checking your phone, scrolling feeds, answering emails. Our culture trains us to fear quiet, to mistake it for boredom. But the truth is, most breakthroughs come in the spaces where nothing seems to be happening. That's when ideas connect, patterns emerge, and your next right step becomes obvious. Stillness is not an escape from life. It's how you fully engage with it. When you're still inside, you can give your full attention to the task at hand, the person in front of you, the opportunity before you. That's the kind of attention that leads to mastery. So if you want success that lasts, don't just chase more movement, create more stillness, clear the noise, focus your mind, and let your actions flow from a place of steadiness. The world may measure success in speed, but the wise know it's measured in accuracy, endurance, and the quiet strength to choose your moves carefully. The Stoics understood stillness as the foundation of wise action. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to be like the rock, against which the waves break unshaken by the turbulence around him. Seneca wrote that to be everywhere is to be nowhere, urging us to slow our pace so we can truly inhabit our actions. For the Stoics, stillness was not laziness. It was the disciplined pause that allows reason to lead. In stillness, you can observe events without being swept up by them, choose the response that aligns with your values, and conserve your energy for what matters. Success without stillness is fleeting. Success with stillness is enduring because it springs from a mind that remains calm, focused, and firmly in control. Calmness is not just the absence of chaos. It's a force that actively shapes your mind, body, relationships, and opportunities. When you cultivate it consistently, its effects ripple into every area of life, often in ways you don't notice until you compare yourself to the person you used to be. Calmness works like a lens that removes smudges from your vision. Decisions that once felt tangled become simpler. You can distinguish between urgent noise and important signals. This clarity doesn't mean you know everything. It means you can see enough to make the best choice available without being blinded by emotion. When you're calm, you are no longer at the mercy of impulse. You can pause, reflect, and decide rather than react. That control is empowering. It tells you, I am steering this ship, not the storm around me. Over time, this steadiness becomes part of your identity, and others begin to trust you as someone who won't be swayed by every gust of wind. Calmness regulates your stress hormones, lowers blood pressure, and improves sleep. When your body isn't in constant fight or flight mode, it has more resources to heal, digest, and renew itself. People often discover that as their mind becomes calmer, they feel lighter physically, less tension in the shoulders, fewer headaches, more energy. Calmness makes you a safe place for others. In conversations, it allows you to listen without immediately preparing your defense. In conflicts, it stops you from adding fuel to the fire. This doesn't just prevent arguments, it builds trust. People know they can approach you with honesty, even when the topic is difficult. A restless mind struggles to connect ideas because it's too busy jumping from one thought to the next. Calmness slows the mental pace just enough for connections to form. Many people find their best ideas arrive in moments of quiet, during a walk in the shower, or in a calm conversation with a trusted friend. Calm people often become informal leaders, even without a title. In meetings, their steadiness draws attention. In crises, their measured voice stands out. Over time, Their ability to maintain composure earns them respect, and respect is the currency of influence. When setbacks happen, calmness helps you bounce back faster. You're less likely to spiral into panic or hopelessness. Instead, you treat obstacles as puzzles to solve. This mindset keeps you moving forward while others are still stuck processing the shock. These effects are not isolated, they reinforce one another. For example, mental clarity improves relationships because you can separate emotion from fact. Better relationships reduce stress, which improves physical health. Good health supports resilience, which sustains clarity. Calmness is a keystone habit. Build it, and other strengths naturally grow. But perhaps the most profound effect is internal, a sense of freedom. When you're calm, you are free from the tyranny of external triggers. You are no longer a puppet to other people's moods, random events, or your own unchecked impulses. This freedom isn't about controlling everything, it's about no longer needing to. You can let the world be what it is without letting it shake your core. It's worth noting that these positive effects aren't instant. They accumulate slowly, often without fanfare. One day you'll realize you handled a conversation differently than you would have a year ago. You'll notice you didn't lose sleep over something that used to consume your nights. You'll hear someone call you patient or steady and realize they're right. The process is subtle, but the payoff is immense. Calmness doesn't just make life easier, it makes life richer. It lets you experience moments, fully connect more deeply, and move toward your goals without burning yourself out in the process. In the end, calmness is not a passive state. It's an active choice you make again and again until it becomes second nature. And when it does, its benefits won't just be felt by you, they'll be felt by everyone around you. The Stoics valued calmness not as a luxury, but as the soil in which all virtues grow. Seneca wrote that no man is free who is not master of himself. And mastery begins with the mind's ability to remain undisturbed. For Marcus Aurelius, calmness was a duty to meet each day's challenges without losing the balance of reason. Epictetus saw it as the natural result of aligning one's will with what is within our control. In their view, the positive effects of calmness were not side benefits, they were the very markers of a well-lived life. When you are calm, you can think rightly, act justly, and endure whatever comes with dignity. That is the Stoic definition of strength, and it begins in the still heart. When the mind is restless, thoughts collide like waves in a storm, loud, messy, and directionless. You can't see the shape of the problem, much less the path to a solution. Calmness is what stills the water, so you can see beneath the surface. Without it, even the smartest mind struggles to think clearly. Clarity begins with the ability to slow down. This doesn't mean stopping entirely, but it does mean stepping out of the frantic pace that most people live in. When you pause, you give your brain the chance to shift from reaction to reflection. In that shift, your perspective expands. You're no longer trapped in the urgency of the moment. You can consider what truly matters. Consider the difference between two leaders facing the same crisis. The first is overwhelmed by the incoming problems, racing to answer every call, approve every decision, fix every small issue personally. The second listens, takes a breath, and starts by asking, what's the most important thing right now? The first leader's mind is clouded by noise. The second leader's mind is sharpened by calmness. Clarity also depends on separating fact from interpretation. When emotions run high, it's easy to confuse what happened with what you think it means. A delay in communication becomes, they don't care about my time. A piece of feedback becomes, they don't respect me. Calmness creates the mental distance to ask, is this a fact or just my story about it? That simple question can prevent countless misunderstandings. The mind can't see patterns in chaos, it needs space. When you're calm, you start noticing connections, how certain problems repeat, how certain actions lead to predictable results. This is the seed of wisdom, because once you see the pattern, you can anticipate outcomes before they happen. When your mind is settled, you can articulate your ideas more simply. You listen more attentively. You choose your words carefully, not to manipulate, but to ensure understanding. Others will notice, and they will trust you more, because clarity breeds confidence. But here's the part most people overlook. Clarity is not just about thinking better, it's about thinking less, but more effectively. Calmness filters out the unnecessary thoughts before they consume your energy. Instead of chasing every mental tangent, you focus on the few that matter. The result is fewer decisions, but better ones. When you answer these in a calm state, your thinking becomes laser-focused. You stop wasting time on speculation or blame, and you start acting on what you can control. Let's put this into a practical scenario. Imagine you're working on a team project, and at the last moment, a major element fails. The team is frustrated, voices are raised, blame is flying around the room. In that environment, decisions will be rushed and likely flawed. But if one person steps in with calmness, asks the 3 questions, and leads the group toward the next best step, clarity returns. That person becomes the compass everyone else was missing. The truth is, calmness and clarity are inseparable. One without the other is incomplete. Calmness without clarity can become passivity, feeling at peace, but doing nothing. Clarity without calmness can turn into cold calculation that alienates others. Together they form the mindset of someone who can think deeply and act decisively without being shaken by the environment. When you train yourself to think clearly through calmness, you stop being controlled by the urgency of others. You're no longer tossed around by every emergency email or sudden request. You can decide for yourself what deserves your attention and what can wait. That's not just productivity, it's freedom. And once you experience that freedom, you'll never want to go back to the noise. The Stoics treated clarity as the natural result of a disciplined mind. Marcus Aurelius advised himself daily to strip away the legend that encrusts things and see them as they are. Epictetus reminded his students to distinguish between what is in their control and what is not, a practice that requires calm observation before judgment. To the Stoics, calmness was not an end. It was the condition that made clear thinking possible. Without calmness, the mind is a slave to impulses and false impressions. With calmness, the mind becomes a faithful servant to reason. In this clarity, a person can act in harmony with nature, choosing the right course without being blinded by fear, anger, or desire. Conflict has a way of pulling people into its rhythm, fast, loud, and emotionally charged. Voices rise, tempers flare, and reason takes a backseat to ego. In this environment, solutions are rare. Escalation is the norm. Calmness is the counterforce. It slows the tempo, lowers the volume, and makes room for reason to re-enter the conversation. The first way calmness aids conflict resolution is by disarming tension. When one person refuses to match the other's intensity, it sends an unspoken message. We are not enemies. This is not a battle. Even if the other person doesn't immediately soften your calm tone and body language, keep the emotional temperature from spiking higher. This alone can prevent a disagreement from becoming a rupture. In conflict, most people listen to respond, not to understand. Calmness shifts this. When you're not rehearsing your next counterpoint, you can actually hear what the other person is saying and what they're not saying. You notice the emotions beneath their words, the underlying fears or needs. Often addressing those is the key to resolution. In the heat of conflict, every issue feels like a make or break moment. Calmness helps you ask, will this matter a month from now, a year from now. That simple mental shift can reframe the entire dispute, revealing which battles are worth fighting and which are better released. Calmness also allows you to separate the person from the problem. Without it, disagreements easily turn personal. You begin attacking character instead of addressing the actual issue. But when you're calm, you can challenge ideas without demeaning the individual. This keeps the door open for collaboration, even if you still disagree. Imagine a workplace conflict between two team leaders over resource allocation. Both believe their project deserves priority. Leader A storms into the meeting arms crossed, ready to win the argument. Leader B enters with a calm demeanor, asks clarifying questions, and focuses on shared goals. By the end, they agree to a compromise that supports both projects. Leader A may have felt more passionate, but Leader B's calmness gave them the power to guide the conversation toward resolution instead of stalemate. Of course, calmness in conflict doesn't mean avoiding hard truths. Sometimes resolution requires saying difficult things, but calmness changes how you deliver them. A steady voice, measured pace, and open posture make it easier for the other person to hear your message without feeling attacked. It's also worth noting that calmness is contagious in conflict. If you keep your tone even, others often mirror it. This isn't guaranteed. Some people will try harder to provoke you, but the more consistently you model calm, the harder it becomes for them to sustain their aggression without looking unreasonable. There's also a strategic advantage. Calmness gives you time. Many conflicts escalate because people rush to respond, often regretting their words later. When you remain calm, you can pause before answering, gather your thoughts, and choose language that moves the discussion forward rather than backward. The irony is that calmness is often seen as weakness in a fight, proof that you're not passionate or invested. In reality, it's the opposite. Calmness means you care enough about the outcome to stay in control. You're not letting your emotions make decisions for you. You're protecting the conversation from becoming collateral damage. The long-term benefit is trust. People remember how you handle conflict. If they see you stay composed under pressure, they'll be more willing to engage with you in the future, knowing you won't overreact or retaliate. That trust turns potential enemies into allies and recurring disputes into opportunities for growth. So the next time you find yourself in conflict, remember matching the other person's volume or speed rarely leads to resolution. Slowing down, lowering your voice, and grounding yourself in calmness can change not only the tone of the conversation, but its outcome. In the short term, you'll avoid unnecessary damage. In the long term, you'll build a reputation as someone who can be counted on to handle disagreements with wisdom and grace. The Stoics saw conflict as an inevitable part of life, but they believed our response was entirely within our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This was not a call to avoid confrontation, but to meet it without surrendering your character. Epictetus reminded his students that others can harm your body, your reputation, even your possessions, but only you can harm your own mind. To the Stoics, calmness in conflict was not about winning or losing. It was about preserving virtue. If you can remain composed when provoked, you not only protect your peace, but also elevate the entire exchange. In this way, every conflict becomes a test and an opportunity to live by your principles. Influence isn't always about titles or authority. It's often about presence, about the way people feel when you enter the room. Some people bring anxiety with them, making everyone else tense. Others bring calm, and that calm changes the entire atmosphere. Calmness is a form of influence because it shifts the emotional climate. In tense situations, people look for cues about how to feel. If you're composed, they feel safer. If you're agitated, they feel more anxious. This is why leaders, formal or informal, who maintain calm often guide the mood of the group without saying much at all. One reason calmness is influential is that it signals control and confidence. When you remain steady under pressure, you project the message, "I can handle this." Others instinctively gravitate toward that stability. They may not consciously think this person is in control, but they feel it. And in times of uncertainty, that feeling is magnetic. Calmness also enhances credibility. If you're constantly reacting, raising your voice, changing direction, or showing frustration, people will doubt your ability to lead or make sound judgments. But if you keep your composure, they trust that your decisions come from reason, not impulse. This trust makes them more willing to follow your guidance. Consider a high-stakes meeting where tensions are running high. Several participants are talking over each other, each trying to dominate the conversation. Then one person waits, speaks slowly, and addresses the core issue with clarity. The room quiets. People listen. That person didn't seize control by force, they earned it by offering calm when everyone else was giving chaos. When you don't rush or pressure, you allow people to process ideas and respond thoughtfully. This not only improves the quality of decisions, but also makes others feel respected. People are more likely to support someone who gives them room to contribute without fear of judgment. Another aspect of influence is emotional contagion. Humans subconsciously mirror the emotions of those around them. If you're calm, others often begin to match your pace tone and demeanor. Over time, this creates a culture, whether in a family, a team, or a company, where composure is the norm. And in that culture, solutions emerge faster because less energy is wasted on emotional volatility. Calmness also strengthens influence by making your words more impactful. If you speak from a place of urgency or panic, your message can get lost in the emotional noise. But when you speak from stillness, your words carry weight. People remember not just what you said, but how you made them feel when you said it. It's important to note that calmness as influence isn't about suppressing emotion or being detached. It's about directing your energy in ways that serve the outcome. You can be passionate and calm at the same time. In fact, calm passion, clear, measured and steady, often inspires more lasting commitment than fiery speeches. Over the long term, calmness builds relational capital. People learn that they can approach you without fear of unpredictable reactions. They come to you for advice, not because you have all the answers, but because they trust you to help them find clarity. This positions you as a steady pillar in their network, a role that naturally increases your influence. Influence gained through calmness is sustainable. It doesn't rely on constant displays of authority or manipulation. It's rooted in character. And because it's based on trust and respect, it deepens over time. So if you want to expand your influence, don't focus only on being louder, faster, or more forceful. Focus on being calmer. In a world that equates speed with power, the person who can slow down and bring others with them often has the greatest impact of all. The Stoics understood influence not as domination, but as the ability to lead by example. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are turbulent, so will be your actions, and so will be your influence. Epictetus taught that the best way to persuade others was not through argument, but through living in harmony with reason. Calmness was central to that harmony. In Stoic terms, your composure is your most convincing argument. It shows that you have mastered yourself, and that mastery speaks louder than any command. By embodying calmness, you give others a model to follow, guiding them without coercion, proving that the most enduring influence flows from steadiness, not force. We often think of freedom as the absence of external constraints. No one telling us what to do, no barriers to our choices. But there's another kind of freedom, far rarer. and more valuable the freedom that comes from being untouchable inside. Calmness is the gateway to that freedom. Without calmness, your inner world is at the mercy of everything outside it. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and they dictate your mood for the next hour. A stranger's careless comment poisons your whole day. News headlines decide whether you feel safe or anxious. In these moments, you're not free, you're a puppet, and the strings are in someone else's hands. Inner freedom begins when you can remain steady, regardless of the chaos around you. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care wisely. You decide where your energy goes. You decide which events deserve your attention and which can pass without a reaction. You're no longer dragged into every emotional current you choose which waters to enter. Calmness protects this freedom in two key ways. First, it creates a buffer between stimulus and response. You don't have to act on the first wave of emotion. You can wait, observe, and decide how you want to respond, if at all. That pause is where your power lives. Second, calmness prevents you from over-identifying with the external world. You still engage with it, but you don't fuse your sense of self to every outcome. You can lose a deal, miss a train, or hear criticism without feeling like your worth has been reduced. Imagine two people receiving the same rejection, a job offer rescinded at the last moment. One person's mind spirals. They don't think I'm good enough. I'll never get another chance. The other feels disappointment but remains calm. This is a setback, not a verdict on my value. What's my next step? The difference is inner freedom. The second person's calmness shields them from the prison of self-doubt and overreaction. Inner freedom doesn't mean you avoid all discomfort. On the contrary, it allows you to face discomfort without being ruled by it. You can stand in a storm without becoming the storm. You can be surrounded by anger without becoming angry yourself. And here's the paradox. The calmer you are, the more you can fully engage with life. Without calmness, you're always defending yourself against the next trigger. With calmness, you can open yourself to experiences, ideas, and people without fear of losing yourself. You can take risks, speak your truth, and make decisions from a place of choice rather than compulsion. This is why calmness is not just a tool for handling stress. It's the foundation for living freely. A free person isn't the one who escapes every difficulty, but the one who can walk through difficulties without surrendering their inner stability. To build this kind of freedom, you need to practice calmness, not just in crises, but in ordinary moments. Each time you resist the urge to snap at a minor inconvenience, each time you let a small provocation pass without comment, you're strengthening your independence from external control. Eventually, it becomes second nature. At that point, life may still push you, but it can't shove you off your center. People may still try to provoke you, but they won't succeed unless you allow them. You're free, not because the world is easier, but because you no longer give it permission to control you. For the Stoics, inner freedom was the highest form of wealth. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that while others could chain his body, they could never chain his mind unless he gave them the key. That key was calmness, the ability to remain aligned with reason no matter what happened externally. Marcus Aurelius echoed this when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Calmness is the practical expression of this teaching. It keeps you free from being ruled by anger, fear, or the opinions of others. To the Stoic, a free person is one who owns themselves completely, and that ownership is preserved every time you choose composure over reaction. Calmness isn't something you turn on in a crisis. It's something you carry into a crisis. And the only way to carry it with you is to practice it every day, especially when the stakes are low. Like any other skill, calmness strengthens with repetition until it becomes second nature. You can't change what you don't notice. Pay attention to your triggers, the situations, people, or even times of day that tend to pull you off balance. Keep a mental log or write them down. Over time, you'll start to see patterns. Awareness doesn't stop the reaction by itself, but it gives you the choice to intercept it before it takes over. Don't wait for major challenges to test your calmness. Use small, everyday irritations as training grounds. The traffic jam, the slow internet connection, the barista getting your order wrong. These are opportunities to practice the pause, to lower your voice, to relax your shoulders instead of tensing them. If you can stay composed in the small moments, you'll be better prepared for the big ones. Even with practice, you will lose your calm sometimes. The key is learning how to reset quickly. This could be stepping outside for a minute, taking a slow breath, or even excusing yourself from the room to gather your thoughts. The goal is not perfection, it's recovery. The faster you can return to calm, the less damage the moment will cause. Much of our agitation comes from what we consume: news, social media, gossip, constant notifications. If you flood your mind with chaos, don't be surprised when it feels chaotic. Limit your exposure to unnecessary noise. Fill your environment with inputs that support calmness. Books, conversations, music spaces that invite stillness. The most lasting habits are the ones that align with who you believe yourself to be. Don't just try to be calm. See yourself as someone who is calm. Each time you make a choice that reflects this, you reinforce the identity. Eventually, it becomes self-sustaining. One practical way to embed this is through evening reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did I maintain calm today? Where did I lose it? What can I do differently next time? This isn't about judgment, it's about refinement. Like any skill, calmness improves with conscious feedback. Finally, surround yourself with calm models. The people you spend time with shape your emotional baseline. Seek out those who can disagree without hostility, handle setbacks without collapsing, and speak with intention rather than volume. Their example will quietly influence you, just as yours will influence them. When calmness becomes a habit, it stops being something you have to remember to do. It becomes the way you move through life. Whether you're dealing with a missed deadline, a family crisis, or an unexpected opportunity. And because it's part of who you are, it doesn't drain you to maintain it, it fuels you. That's the ultimate advantage. You don't just use calmness when you need it, you live in it. And in a world that is always rushing, shouting and reacting, that quiet steadiness will make you stand out more than any loud display ever could. The Stoics practiced daily exercises to make their virtues second nature. Epictetus advised rehearsing challenges in the mind before they happened, so the response would be ready when reality arrived. Marcus Aurelius began each day reminding himself of the kinds of people he would meet: selfish, rude, ungrateful, and resolved not to let them disturb his peace. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. For the Stoic, calmness was not a talent, but a discipline built through constant practice. By integrating it into everyday life, they ensured it would be present in the moments that mattered most. To live calmly, in their view, was to live freely, immune to the tyranny of impulse, anchored in reason, and ready for whatever fortune might bring. Across these 12 parts, we've explored calmness from every angle: its roots in self-discipline, its partnership with right thinking, its role as a source of power, its necessity in every situation, and its ability to shape our relationships, influence, and inner freedom. What merges is clear: calmness is not a passive state or a lucky temperament. It's an active, deliberate practice built in small moments, tested in hard ones, and carried into every corner of life. It is both shield and compass, both anchor and sail. The world often measures strength in speed, volume, and dominance, but real strength is quieter. It's the surgeon's steady hands in a crisis, the leader's composed voice in conflict, the friend's patient ear when you need to be heard. Calmness is the presence that holds everything together when everything is falling apart. It's also deeply personal. Calmness frees you from being ruled by the moods of others, the chaos of events, or the pull of your own impulses. It gives you the rare freedom to choose your response rather than be dragged into reaction. And from that freedom, all other strengths, clarity, resilience, influence flow naturally. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Life will always be unpredictable, but your mind can remain steady. You have power over your mind, Marcus Aurelius wrote, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So make calmness your constant companion. Practice it in the small inconveniences, so it's ready for the great storms. Let it be your quiet strength, one that protects your peace, empowers your decisions, and inspires those around you. Because in the end, the calmest person in the room isn't just surviving the moment they're shaping it.